Hello everyone, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I've kind of debated talking about. I mean, you know, I don't really like to talk about certain stuff, like, stuff that just gets, or certain stuff that's a bit controversial, I guess, but I'm going to talk about it because I watched it earlier on, and I was completely surprised by how, unprofessional it was. And I'm going to give my honest opinions. So, there was an OnlyFans model who went on this podcast called Reality Check, and there's this. The woman's name was Rebecca Goodwin, and for the most part, she seems like a really nice lady. You might not support her line of work. That's completely fine. You don't have to. You have your right to criticise. Obviously, she has a right. This is where I see a lot. This is where I see the line blurred a bit, because people say, oh, she has the right to do that because she's old enough, and that's completely correct, but everybody also has the right to criticise. So, she has the right to do that, you have the right to criticise it. You don't have the right, however, to tell her what to do, which obviously makes sense. She's her own character, she can do whatever she wants, within the confines of the law. That's completely fine. However, bringing someone onto your podcast to make fun of that person is just really nasty, and it's something called the, I can't remember what the exact name for it, but it's like the wolf gang, the pack of wolves mentality. Also, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically where one person is against a group of people, whether that group be 2 people or whatever. It can stem from 2 people to however much, right? The minimum is 2. The reason it's so detrimental is because when you are getting clowned on by multiple people, it's hard to fight your argument because there are multiple people you're trying to persuade. When it's against one person, you have a better chance, but when there's multiple people, they're just going to bounce back between each other and just keep being twats. That's kind of how it works. So that's why it's so awful to do, and it's another reason I always try and play devil's advocate when me and my friends are against someone, because I don't want that person to feel like they can't express their ideology that we can't agree upon. And I've had it happen to me before. It's not very nice. But yeah, this is basically what was happening. There was 3 lads on this podcast who were being kind of rude. They weren't being the most horrible people ever, but they weren't being as considerate as they should have, and they were making fun of her for every little thing, and I feel like that's kind of mean. I mean, bring her on, challenge her beliefs, that's completely fine, you have the right to do that, but don't be really nasty. I mean, poor lady, she's got kids as well, and I know other people are going to make the argument, oh, well, should she really be doing OnlyFans or whatever if she's got kids? That's a different argument. I mean, I don't really agree with that, but I'm not going to hate her on her. I'm not going to hate on her for it. I mean, it's her decision, it's her kids. I'm not really going to tell anyone how to parent, but yeah, I feel like this podcast could have been conducted a lot better. I feel like there's a lot of hatred there towards her for just having a choice, which is kind of sad, but it's whatever. Another point, I think I saw a clip of this where I think she talked about how, because she was sexually assaulted when she was young, people who are sexually assaulted grow up to be more sexual because it's their way of getting control back, and that's completely understandable. I mean, it makes sense. And then people got angry because they didn't really dwell on that. I mean, that's something I completely disagree with. I mean, something really horrible happened to her, that's understandable. That's really nasty, but you can't just expect them to just sit there and go, oh my god, I'm so sorry how that happened, and start crying. I mean, they obviously could have taken it into consideration, which they didn't. That's obviously something bad, but I feel like a lot of people also wanted them to dwell more on it than they should. I mean, obviously they're not responsible for that happening, so they don't have to dwell on it for that long. But yeah, obviously something that traumatizing happened to that poor woman, and I don't think it really got taken into consideration as much as it should have. So, but I completely understand what she means. You know, that happened to her, so she's more sexual. I mean, that's like, you know, fine. Like, that she's more sexual, and, you know, if she wants to express that for OnlyFans, that's her free will. But yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, they don't have to agree with it, but they also don't have to bring her on and make fun of her either. I think that's the whole point that I'm trying to make, is that they just didn't have to be that rude. I mean, obviously I have a podcast, and I would bring people onto it who I didn't agree with, but I wouldn't ever make fun of them. I mean, a little joke here and there is completely fine. I mean, you know, me and my friends always take the piss out of each other all the time. It's just how we are, but you shouldn't really do that to someone you don't know, especially when you're trying to challenge each other, because it can be taken as a sign of hostility, and that's just something you don't really want to cross into, because then it's not even a debate anymore, it's just an argument, and things just get ugly, and, you know, she stormed off for that reason. And then I think she stormed off, and there were talks, I think, about, like, they thought that her boyfriend was going to come in, and one of the guys went, "That'd be a stupid idea." Okay. They threatened to beat his ass when he hasn't even done anything. He hasn't even walked in the room, and they're already deciding that they're just going to beat him up. That's, you know, I don't know. It's just wild. I don't think, you know, anybody should have that mentality of, you know, as I said at the beginning, the kind of Wolfpack mentality, because again, I've had that happen to me before, and it actually feels like horrible. Like, there should always be like some sort of, you know, neutral ground, because, you know, no one should have to, well, most people, obviously there's certain exceptions, but most people shouldn't ever have to go through that. But anyway, I've said my thoughts, and yeah, I'll see you later. Peace.